it's election day in some of our necks of woods. Half of my neck of the wood, you're not at all.
None of our neck.
Not at all. Penny Clausen, yes. Troy, yes. Waterford, no. Pontiac, no.
Keego Harbor.
Keego Harbor, yes. All right. So someone's of our neck of woods. Anyway, Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Sure.
It is, what, 9:39?
Yes. Commissioners Joliet,
Here.
Jackson is absent with notice. Lutz,
Here.
Nelson,
Here.
Hoffman,
Present.
Spiz is absent with notice. Johnson,
Present.
Mr. Chair, you have quorum.
Thanks so much, folks. Before we do our Pledge of Allegiance, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the fact that we lost our chair this past week. So we'll just take a little moment. We've got a nice graphic right there.
Aww.
Thank you.
You can still hear him talking.
Yeah. I'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks so much, folks. All right, swimming right along. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes dated October 24th, 2023, moved by Commissioner Loop, seconded by Commissioner Joliet. Thank you very much. All those in favor of approval of the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. That passes unanimously. Thanks a bunch. I would entertain a motion to approve today's agenda. Moved by Commissioner Loop, seconded by Commissioner Hoffman. All those in favor of approving today's agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That passes too. Thank you, everyone. Anyone from the public wishing to address us on any item on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move right along to our regular agenda. Opening up regular agenda item A, I would entertain a motion to recommend to the board the confirmation of the appointment of Teresa Mask as Oakland County's Department of Public Communications Director. Moved by Commissioner Loop, seconded by Commissioner Joliet. Floor is yours, folks.
Thank you.
Welcome, welcome to our trapezoidal table.
Good morning. There are elections in my town today too.
Oh, good.
Ferndale, so my neck of the woods, yes.
Be sure to vote.
So, yes, exactly. Well, thank you very much. Really pleased to be here this morning with all of you to introduce you to Teresa Mask, who County Executive Coulter has nominated to be our Director of the Department of Public Communications, and here to give you an opportunity to hear from her a little bit about her background and her experience, and then you're asking that you will recommend her confirmation vote to the full board next Thursday. So we've been looking for somebody who has a particular kind of set of skills and experiences, including strategic communications planning, long-range strategic communications planning, 360 planning. Someone who, you know, the job here is making sure our residents know what county government is doing on their behalf. So someone who knows how to work with the traditional media, TV, radio, print, but also how to maximize our digital footprint, social, our online, and our digital footprint. We've been wanting to find somebody who's worked in a larger organization. You know, we're not small here at Oakland County, but somebody who has that experience working in a larger organization, who's worked with their own team and helped lead their own team and played a leadership role in that organization, but who's worked across departments collaboratively, because that's a big part of our job too, obviously, with the departments that fall under the county executive, but with those that are our other elected offices, including the board. And then somebody who has kind of the strong management skills that we want to make sure we have, so that we're sure that our Department of Communications continues to do its best work for our residents and for our colleagues here in county government, because we also serve other departments. So we're confident that Teresa is that person. Believe she has an ideal background for this position, having spent 10 years as a journalist, as well as 10 years with AT&T in a leadership role, a national leadership role with AT&T's communications department. I really want her to talk more about her experience and give you a chance to ask her questions. So, Mr. Chairman, if it's okay, I'd like to turn it over to Teresa.
Absolutely welcome.
Thank you, and my condolences on the loss of your colleague. So I welcome the opportunity to talk a little bit about myself and the work that I have done in the past and how I might be able to support the communications department, you all, and the broader county and its residents. There was an election in my community. I voted this morning before I got here. So I'm a proud Oakland County resident. I've been here for 20 years. I moved from Chicago first to Southfield and most recently to Farmington Hills, where I live with my husband and my 2 school-aged children who are in Farmington Public Schools. I was a reporter in Chicago. I covered municipal counties, municipal cities. Hoffman Estates was one of them. I met Commissioner Hoffman this morning. And I'm very familiar with attending those city council meetings and planning commission meetings and all of that. When I left, I was covering education, religion, and health. I moved to the Detroit area because I was interested in working for an organization that had won Pulitzers. The Detroit Free Press had Pulitzer Prize winning editors and reporters, and I thought I could learn from them. I didn't plan to stay long. I thought I would be here for about 5 years because I was going to go back to Chicago, get an education degree, and teach high school journalism. But that didn't happen. I stayed at the Free Press. I started in our Royal Oak office. That's where our Oakland County Bureau was. At the time, we were really focused on growing that market because Oakland County residents were really important to the paper. And I started off covering northern Oakland County and then eventually moved over to education, actually spending time covering Oakland ISD for a while. I then became assistant metro editor where I had a team of reporters who covered education, religion, and health. Left there to go to an online startup, AOL owned, called Patch.com. Had a team of 12 reporters who covered really local news, and I was really excited to get back to that idea of community-based journalism. I thrive when I feel like I'm doing purposeful work, and really addressing the community is one way to do that. So was there for a few years and then went corporate, something I thought I would never do, but it was an amazing experience. I went to AT&T. I was spokesperson for AT&T Michigan, so I worked with the AT&T state president. I worked with our legislative affairs team and our stores and all of that. My primary goal was to protect the brand, to handle crises that arose, and to amplify our products and services in the media. So that meant going on TV and for Tech Tuesday or Tech Thursday and talking about the products that we had, or amplifying some of the initiatives that we have. It Can Wait program, trying to convince people not to just be distracted while they're driving. Our Believe Detroit program, which focused on encouraging young people to focus on their education, and most recently, our work to help bridge the digital divide through our Connected Learning program. My most recent role at AT&T was executive support and supporting our Chief Diversity Officer and our Chief Sustainability Officer. And so in those roles, I helped to amplify all the things that they were prioritizing through many modes of communication, whether that was traditional newspapers, radio, podcasts, really focusing on social media influencers to get our word out. So really developed an opportunity to do those 360-degree plans that Walt is talking about. Personally, I think I mentioned that I am married with 2 children. I love giving back to the community. I was most recently named to the Professional Advisory Board for Gilda's Club in Royal Oak. I last year was honored by Farmington Public Schools for my work on the PTA, so I got a community service award for that. I serve on the Dean's Advisory Board for the College of Communication for my university, Butler University in Indianapolis, and also I'm on the chairman of the steering committee locally for our alums. Very passionate and excited about storytelling, about working collaboratively with people, and using our opportunity to amplify the work that we're doing through impact stories. I think there's such an opportunity to share with more residents in Oakland what you all are doing and what the executive office is doing. Just in my interview process alone, I learned some things that I think I should have known before. So I'm excited to get together with people and figure out what we want to amplify, have a strategic approach about how we're gonna do that and get alignment. And as far as working with the board, I'm very excited about it. Commissioner Luba already gave me a suggestion on how to support you all with social media. And so I think we take all of those ideas and figure out how we can make it happen. So a little bit about me.
Awesome. Questions, comments, concerns from my colleagues? Yes.
Before the meeting, we did talk about individualizing commissioner news so that we can push out to our own districts. I know we have access to Oakland County and Sarah sends out weekly now the individual news, but it's one more step for us. It would be handy to have something we can push out that's individualized for each district.
I agree. Well, I look forward to this. The motion on the table is to recommend to the board the confirmation of your appointment. Would you please call the roll? Yes.
Of course.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, it's more a comment. I want to say that I represent part of Royal Oak also, which Gilda's club is in, so I'm thrilled that you're there. I have taken a tour in the past, so if there's some support you need, just let me know.
Thank you.
Sorry, reopen the board, please, Madam Clerk.
You have 5 yeas, 0 nays.
Awesome, thank you very much.
Thank you all very much, we appreciate it.
Welcome.
Look forward to working with you.
Next item on today's agenda, agenda item B, I would entertain a motion to recommend to the full board Parks and Recreation residential lease agreement with Aaron Stepp for property located at Independence Oaks County Park. Moved by Commissioner Hoffman, seconded by Commissioner Nelson. Welcome.
Morning, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Commissioners, for taking up this item. We have a number of residential leases with our employees. It's kind of a benefit to both the park system and the employee by giving us an opportunity to have somebody on site to provide some labor as part of this lease agreement. There's a discount provided in the lease that recognizes the value of that. And they provide maintenance duties and responsibilities that help support, the property, but they're also there for security purposes as well in the evening to help monitor the situation at the park. So we have 5 residential leases. We actually had 17 just a couple of years ago, and we have been going through the process of slimming down to kind of the bare bones properties that we have that are really integral to and connected to a park. So this particular one is with our Chief of Business Operations, Aaron Stepp, who's a real critical member of our team. And it's at Independence Oaks County Park. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Commissioner Lewis.
This is not the first time we've renewed a lease for this
No,
house.
we've brought these through regularly.
Yes, and it's worked out very nicely.
Yes.
My only question is, so in his case, is he like the superintendent of that park, or is he, okay. Are they related to where they live in a procedural manner at all, or is it just kind of?
Not particularly, no. I mean, it's like any other lease where people are choosing where they, want to reside. In Aaron's case, he's our Chief of Business Operations, works out of the office here at Waterford Oaks, but.
Okay. I guess my frame of reference is that we do higher ed all the time, and a lot of university or college presidents will live on campus.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I was thinking about this. And I used to work at the zoo. The zoo's director lives in the house on zoo property too. So,
Okay.
But all right, any other questions? Seeing none, motion on the table is to recommend to the board. Madam Clerk, would you please open the board? It's just totally done, I guess.
Mr. Chair, you have 5 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you very much. And go ahead and make yourself comfortable there, Chris.
Oh, thanks.
Next item on our agenda is regular agenda item C, the recommendation to the board for interlocal partnership agreement with the city of Southfield for the management and operation of Southfield Oaks County Park. I would entertain a motion, Commissioner Nelson, seconded by Commissioner Loops. Oh, good. All right, that's weird.
Okay, that was it.
It was Nelson and Loops.
Thank you.
Please.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. First, I want to say thank you for recognizing the passing of Gary McGilvery, who was also our chair of our Parks Commission and It's kind of bittersweet being here with this item because the ARPA plan was something Gary was just so very proud of. And this is kind of the final milestone, and we're not at the beginning of the end, but we're at the end of the beginning of the implementation of that plan, which we're all quite proud of. I hope you are as well. It's a plan that is very impactful and targeted to communities that were disproportionately impacted during the pandemic and recognizes the real value of what parks can do to improve our health and well-being. We didn't take the easy way out in creating the details of the plan. There were 4 separate partnerships set aside in that plan for us to take over the management of property, park property that is currently operated by a city government, often underutilized property that needed to be revitalized for various purposes. And you've seen me over the months come through here many times with these agreements. We've had 8 come through, and this, in the item that follows are item 9 and 10. And we'll kind of secure all of the legal agreements necessary for us to implement the ARPA plan. And this final piece here is with the city of Southfield. It relates to a portion of what was a 9-hole golf course at Beach Woods Park in the city of Southfield. It's a 9-mile beach road area. We will be taking on responsibility for the management of 39 acres, portion of the park. The city will retain another portion of the park. They have a city recreation facility there, recreation center, a driving range, and some other amenities. So they'll focus a little bit more on the more active recreational uses. And we will take on that golf course and restore it to its natural beauty and environment and create a wonderful nature preserve for the enjoyment of the people in the area. And some of you have been able to visit the site in the past. We did a tour when the board was considering adoption of the ARPA plan. It really is a very beautiful piece of property. It's kind of remarkable how fast nature strikes back when a golf course closes. It closed in 2019 due to rising operating costs and some flooding from the Rouge River. And you would really have very little idea that there was a golf course there now, or was there in the past, other than the fact that they're, they still have the signs up for the tees and the holes. So we're really looking forward to taking on this park. It's going to be a beautiful, wonderful addition to the Oakland County Park system. And we pride ourselves on doing nature well. And this opportunity to do what we do so well in southern Oakland County, in an area like Southfield, is really unique and outstanding, really, for us to have this chance. So we're grateful for the partnership with the city of Southfield. The way this is structured really, I hope, highlights the how when governments work together, people benefit, and we stretch dollars, make them go farther and get more efficiency. So in being neighboring parks, we will be sharing the support infrastructure that's necessary to have a park. Parking, restroom facilities, pedestrian connectivity. There'll be a playground that will be on the city's side of the boundary, but will really serve as a gateway to the nature preserve as well. And recognizing that joint infrastructure, the Oakland County Parks will be providing $1 million to the city to support the construction of those improvements. Overall, I think it's about a $4.5 million project, so the city's taking on the vast majority of those costs. But it, in the end, will really save Oakland County Parks quite a bit of money from avoiding having to create our own parking lot, our own new entrance, our own new restroom facility. So before you is the interlocal agreement, 20-year term that is renewable. If at any point it is canceled, the county would be reimbursed for the non-ARPA financed capital improvements that will be created at the park. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any beyond that. Certainly look forward to getting a chance to get all of you back out there to see the property and cutting some ribbons.
Chris, questions, comments, concerns? Any discussion at all? All right, there's a motion on the table. Madam Clerk, would you please open the floor? Over to that time.
Mr. Chair, you have 5 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you very much. All right, speaking of that exact same parcel, but shifting over like
Yeah.
5 steps to the neighboring spot. Let's move on to regular agenda item D, Parks and Recreation Grant Agreement with the City of Southfield for local parks improvement under the Healthy Communities Park and Outdoor Recreation Investment Plan. The recommendation would be to recommend to the board. I would entertain that motion. Commissioner Lube, seconded by Commissioner Nelson. Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you again. So this is really the final piece on the way we put together the overall Healthy Communities Plan, recognize the value of what the communities were providing to us with these partnerships by allocating some funding for grants through ARPA for local park improvement priorities, and we've brought those through to you for Oak Park and Pontiac and other communities. This one would be for the city of Southfield. They had a bit of a change of plans as they worked through their planning process and public engagement process. Initially, those dollars were meant to be utilized for a splash pad, but they received quite a bit of resistance concerns from the local residents regarding potential traffic and noise and impact to what's a fairly quiet corner of the city of Southfield. So they had to reboot their plans and have since come forward with this concept of building a new playground that will be very nature focused in its theme. And so we're asking, and they have asked for the $500,000 grant be directed towards that playground project to help defray a portion of their $4.5 million cost for all of the projects that will be done. I'd be happy to answer any questions you get.
Questions, comments? All right, y'all are an easy bunch today. Madam Clerk, would you please open the board on the motion on the table?
Mr. Chair, you have 5 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you very much. That motion prevails. And thank you, Chris. I think that's the end of your, yes, it is. Oh, yes, go ahead.
So, but are you staying around for item F, the Parks and Recreation Commission application
If
review?
you'd like me to, I would. Penny asked,
I would.
I'd jump, right? So
Oh,
how high?
my life is good. Thank you.
Take over.
Yeah, please. Well, moving speedily right along then, item E, so I'm just gonna open item E up for discussion right now then. What we're gonna do kind of, and this is looking at items E, F, and G a little bit, although I'll have Amy talk a little bit about G later. We're at the point in our kind of 4-phase plan where we've solicited applications. Now we're just going to whittle down the field and select folks that we'd like to hear from in an interview format. Then on the 28th, November 28th, we'll have those folks come back for those interviews and we'll make the recommendation at that meeting for what to do on the full board. So this is kind of phase 2. I feel like and this is, I'm open for discussion. I feel like we should very briefly go through all of our applicants to just like, if anyone has a comment about anyone, we can air that, and then we can whittle down the field. However,
Are we doing building and parks?
Sorry,
The
yeah,
third
we
one
will do them in
together?
order, so building first, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I read the resumes and I would be interested in interviewing Stephen Wright because I'm curious how, I'm impressed that he works for the county and is invested that he would be willing to volunteer.
All right. Any other comments on Stephen? Any discussion on Christine? Yes,
There's only 4 applicants.
yeah,
Why don't we interview all of them?
we could do that. I did struggle with trying to like
Yeah, because
3 of the 4 of them.
sometimes an interview
Knock
is
one out.
quite telling.
Agreed.
So I'm happy to do that. It's, how long do you guys wanna go on the 28th is really the question at the end of the day.
We're 10 minutes per interview.
Yeah, I was gonna say before we had set a time limit on how long they, Pam, I think you told them when you were gonna interview, they only have 10 minutes, so.
Yeah.
And then I set up a time slot for each one.
That's fine with me.
It's up to you.
Right, yeah. I mean, I guess, okay,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
because it would be
40
this
minutes.
and Parks and Recreation.
But any of these applicants currently on the committee,
I
on the
don't think so.
building
No.
authority? Okay.
No, the incumbent did not reapply.
Okay.
Nor is the case on Parks and Rec, they're all,
No, Parks and Rec.
there are 2.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yes, okay. Yeah, I'm fine to do that. It would just be a considerable time, which is
But
fine.
it shouldn't take that much time. An interview takes 10 or 15 minutes probably.
10.
Well, right, and I'm fine, 10 per person is fine, but if you have 4 people for a building and then 6 or 7 people,
It's 40 minutes just for building.
Mm-hmm.
For which one?
Building, that's 40 minutes if you give each person 10 minutes.
What if we reduce the time?
Okay.
Yeah, we could reduce, they got 5 minutes.
Like, that's exactly.
I mean, we have their resume and they've answered the questions,
Yeah, it's-
so we could we've kind of already, yeah.
I'm fine with that. Literally, the only thing in my mind is like a 3-hour meeting in 2 weeks, which I would love to avoid, but,
Well, let's do 5 minutes. I like
Yeah, I'd
that.
support that.
so all 4.
I still think an interview is a good thing.
Me too.
I agree,
So then we would do it at our next meeting?
yes, yeah. That is the plan, no matter what, to do interviews at the next meetings, which is November 28th.
Turn to bring breakfast.
Yes, and would you wanna
Right down the
allow
hall,
virtual interviews
upstairs.
or do you want them all to come in person too?
I think virtual's fine. I prefer in person, but do any of you strongly oppose?
I'd rather do
virtual?
it in person.
Doesn't matter.
I think you tried last time and those that could, and those that couldn't, we accommodated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with a strong preference for being in person. I'm not going to hate someone. I don't think you get negative points for being virtual.
We can't what?
Yeah, I think last time what I did is when I called them, I didn't even mention the virtual option.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Unless they say, hey, do you have a virtual option?
Oh, I like
And
that. That's good.
then- So I don't volunteer it, but if it's there if they want it.
Okay.
I mean, if you
If
want,
they need it,
if they need it,
yes.
yes. And if you are okay with that.
I'm okay with that, if they need it.
Yeah, if they need it, because I would encourage them to be here in person.
Okay,
Face to face.
so is that the decision then on building, on item E, right? We invite all 4 of them to come back for an interview,
I say
For a
yes.
5-minute interview.
5, and
Is that a motion? Do you want to do a
we can make
motion?
I mean, I don't know, this is just a directive to you guys, I
Consensus.
really,
That's fine,
okay,
that's fine too. I can put it in minutes that way.
yeah, let's just do that.
Okay.
Any other discussion before we move on to F? Let's move on to F. So this one, I would really recommend not inviting every one of them back for an interview. Commissioner Lewis?
I'm out of the loop today. So which 2 people are presently on the board? So it's Andrea LaFontaine. Who's the other person?
Lance Stokes.
Lance Stokes.
Who is it?
Lance Stokes. So
Commissioner?
then I have a question for our Parks and Rec director, if you don't mind. Do you have any recommendations from this list? Have you seen the list? Would you recommend the incumbents to return?
Well, this puts me in a bit of an uncomfortable position because I actually work for the Parks and Rec Commission, so probably not appropriate for me to
Okay, and that's fair.
yeah, to
That's
weigh
fair,
in
so
on that.
that's why I wanted you to wait. So, okay,
It'd be nice to see
time's
so much
done.
interest.
Commissioner Juliet?
Without weighing in, somebody did put your name down.
I saw that. I think I wouldn't interpret that as I guess it would be, I was not asked to be put down as a reference.
Okay, gotcha.
In one instance, a really great person, a former manager that worked for us, who's now a local parks director. That one, I guess I would suggest if you're gonna look at, there is a potential for incompatibility conflicts with them being a local parks director. It'd be a wonderful addition to the Parks Commission, but our townships, cities and villages receive grants from us. They receive support through our recreation programming department, so it could lead to a potential conflict for them to sit on both sides of those negotiations and voting on those agreements.
Commissioner Nelson?
Thank you. When we think about the current makeup of the commission presently, and I don't know if you've looked through the applications at all, are there any areas, CVTs within Oakland County, that aren't necessarily represented yet on the Parks Commission?
Well, it was a 10-member board, so for such a large county, it's impossible to meet that expectation. But it's really is a positive thing to have good geographic diversity represented on our commission, and we've gone from having almost entirely northern and western Oakland County folks to a pretty good diversity now. But we not only lost our chair, and I believe he was the only member from Madison Heights area, but also in addition to the 2 members that you are looking at today that are applied for reappointment, we have another member that is running for Royal Oak City Council. And if she's successful in her race, so that's another incompatibility issue, so she'll be stepping down. So that may be something for you to consider, whether you're looking for 3 candidates or 2 candidates or moving forward. But I can get you that list of where people currently reside that are members of our commission. It's always nice to have a diversity of expertise and interest too.
Sure.
So that, we have some balance and bring all those talents and interests to the table.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, in a very similar vein to Commissioner Nelson's question, are there any skill or educational background gaps that you think might help the knowledge-based diversity of the board?
I must say, one thing, I noticed one of the candidates had a background with human resources, which is as the members know, is a struggle that we have just as such a unique entity within Oakland County government with so many challenges with recruitment and retention of staff, particularly in the seasonal area. Anybody who's familiar with the labor market knows the challenges that is widespread out there just in terms of getting adequate staff, and we have struggled with that. That may be of value. I saw a candidate with some educational background that could be of value. It's an opportunity for us to grow as well, in that we tend to focus our partnerships with local governments, but public education is also a significant provider of recreational programs and services in the communities, and so that could potentially be an opportunity for us to grow. But don't want to try to tilt the conversation. It isn't because they pay my paycheck and give me my reviews. So I think they're all great candidates.
Very correct answer. Any other questions for the director? Thank you for sticking around. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Open discussion amongst us now. Who wants to go first? Commissioner Lubes.
I'd like to interview the 2 incumbents and Ross Gavin. So that's 3 people for me.
Okay. Commissioner Joliet.
I'd also like to interview the 2 incumbents, and Annette Parker, she's the last one. She has a educational component, public education.
Okay, you said 13. Okay. So that's 4 commissioners, Nelson, Hoffman, Nelson?
Lola Banks. Looks like from Oak Park. And then there's one more.
Commissioners, looking if I could, one thing I forgot.
Sure.
When we were working through the negotiations of our agreements, one issue was brought up from the city of Pontiac was lack of representation from residents of Pontiac. And so that was, something they requested anyways. And I believe there's a couple of candidates that are residents of the city of Pontiac.
And there is no one on the board from Pontiac?
Not currently, not a resident of the city itself, no.
Okay.
Second one, Chanel Witherspoon. Weatherspoon?
Okay.
So I'd like to recommend those two for interviews, Lola Banks and Chanel Weatherspoon.
Okay. That's 6 altogether. Commissioner Hoffman, do you have anyone you'd like? No, that's fine too.
I'd interview all of them,
Were you really?
of course.
I feel ya.
They applied.
No, I know.
I'd like to interview 6.
I was thinking 6 or 7 when I thought about this. We have 2 spots. Oh, should we talk about that? Could I ask you to talk about that?
I'm not sure what I can contribute, but like Chris pointed out with the passing of Commissioner McGilvery, that does open up another vacancy on the board.
Is that a protected vacancy, like must be a member?
It doesn't need to be, it's a commissioner, so it wouldn't be for these applicants.
Okay. Is that something we have to do soon? Is there a time limit on that?
I would have to research,
Could you have an answer by our next local meeting?
absolutely.
Okay, cool.
What's the question, whether it has to be a
Commissioner.
Yeah,
commissioner or?
I looked through the bylaws of our commission, so one thing from a timely standpoint, Gary was our chair, and so our commission will need to take up the issue of our officers, and so it would be, which they will do in January. Annually, they do that at any rate ordinarily, but it would be nice to have the full contingent there so that we can, have everybody's, input and buy-in by the time that rolls around.
there is a vice chair, there's someone.
Here's the vice chair. Our acting chair is Dave Vanderveen, who many of you know, and a veteran of local county government, and he's been a member of our Parks Commission since, I think, 1998, so.
And the airport.
Commissioner Reeves.
When does the committee meet?
They meet once a month. We do have some committees that are voluntary, that commissioners can choose to participate in, but it is typically the first Wednesday of the month at 2 p.m. Tends to be about a 2-hour meeting. And of course, there are occasional, public events and things that are totally optional, whether commissioners like to participate in. So there's a lot of leeway just in terms of how much time you want to commit to it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Question for Chris. The person you suggested because he has a position with another Parks and Rec, you think that could be a conflict of interest?
Yes, I think that could be because we do have an annual grant program, and they would be asked to vote on selecting grantees for that. So it had not occurred to me when he called me to let me know he was interested in it. So that could potentially pose a problem. If it's a candidate you're interested in looking at, I guess I would suggest you at least ask Corporation Counsel to look at. Could potentially.
Yeah, I mean, he has only one vote on there.
Right, but we've dealt with these incompatibility issues over the years, both, when I worked for you and in other capacities of the county government. Whenever you have a potential of signing both sides of a contract, an incompatibility of office occurs, which is like an automatic disqualification.
Okay.
So even if you, didn't vote, it still creates the incompatibility situation.
Oh, okay, thank you. Are there 1 or 2 more people? 6 is fine, but I do one or two more? One or two more names,
I have a thought.
please.
Why don't we interview all of them over 2 or 3 meetings? This
The next-
doesn't have to be presented till this January, right?
Yes, but our next meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, is the last meeting of the year.
The last meeting of the year is the 28th and the appointments expire December 31st.
Oh, the 28th of
Of November.
November?
That's our last LACO meeting.
Oh.
Unless you schedule a special LAGO meeting specifically for interviews.
You don't want to do
I think we've,
that. Okay.
if you want my opinion, we've done this process before in past and kind of narrow it down to.
Okay.
Well, and I think it speaks volumes, right? There's 15 applicants. I mean, as we know, for those of us who sat on LAGO over the course of the past couple of years, that's a healthy number. And two, it's a big pool with some really great experiences, which I think is important. And the other thing I know that jumped out at me is that there's a lot of individuals who've resided in Oakland County for 35 plus years. And that to me is something that I really take a look at as I do go through the applications, because that lets me know that their roots are here in Oakland County and hopefully well-versed with our parks system as well. But I think it's pretty admirable that we have as many applications. It speaks volumes, not only just for Oakland County, but Oakland County Parks.
Commissioner Lips.
I have one more question for Mr. Ward. Someone,
My exercise. I appreciate it.
if one of the applicants is presently a city council member, is that a conflict?
Oh, yeah, I had not noticed that. Is that Mr. Gavin?
Yes.
Yeah, that could potentially pose an issue with that incompatibility. I'm not an attorney, so don't rely on my legal advice. I've seen this occur multiple times. Matter of fact, your predecessor in your position as county commissioner was a city council person when they were elected, and we went through this investigation of whether they could maintain their position on city council and be a county commissioner at the same time, and it was very clear they could not. So because we do regularly do the grant program and we provide programming support through our rec program department, the likelihood of a contract negotiation and vote is high.
Okay. I know Ross personally, and I think he's a wonderful fellow and would do a great job, but I'll withdraw that interview then because of the conflict of interest.
Where's this conflict then? Because
He's on city council,
Oh, yeah, because he'd be excellent.
yes. Mhm.
Just because this is the interview stage, is everyone want to drop him? Because you
Oh.
could still hear from him and not. I'm fine with that. I do respect the conflict of interest argument a lot.
Yeah, we
too.
don't even want to create an appearance of conflict of
Right.
interest,
Yeah.
let alone an actual one.
Okay. I'm going to, so my personal ones, I definitely both of the incumbents, and then Deborah Macon, I thought was compelling. So that would be my third one. We're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 still. Just to go through the list, the incumbents, Andrea LaFontaine, Lance Stokes, and then Annette Zeman Parker, Lola Banks, Chanel Weatherspoon, Deborah Macon. Any others that we'd like to hear back from?
Is that 6 then?
That is 6, yeah. Going once, going twice. All right, could we send out those requests for those 6 people? Commissioner? No,
So-
go ahead.
So the people we are not choosing to interview, after the interview process, do we send letters thanking them for submitting? Oh,
I have,
okay,
if you want me to continue that. I
yes, yes,
I'd like to
please.
see this.
Yes.
That's good manners, yes.
will. Okay.
For these do we wanna do 5 or 10 minute interviews and then would we need to start Lago early?
I would
To
love to start.
accommodate.
Y'all, I have always wanted to start this at 9 o'clock in the morning, not 9:30. Is that all right with y'all?
That's fine with me.
As an exception.
Yes. We have, yeah, you're right, for the interviews, we have bumped it up a little earlier.
Can I add one more?
Sure.
Annette Zeman Parker.
She is already one of the 6.
Oh, she's one of those already? Great minds think alike. Yeah, I think she'd be good. Landscape architect,
Yeah. Yeah, I was hoping for some egg. Alright, so starting at 9 o'clock, and we'll do 10 total interviews. Strong deference for in person, but if they absolutely need to, Zoom.
Do you want 5 or 10 minute?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to like be a real, trying to think of a polite term. Stickler is a polite, yes. I'm not gonna be an absolute stickler about like 5 minutes and then shut up, but I think, yeah, 5 to 10 minutes would be a good thing to keep in mind. Especially toward the short side of that. People in the public sphere love the sound of their own voice, so things tend to go long naturally, I know that. Speaking of me droning on and on, we'll move to item G. Amy, could you tell us a little bit about the process for item G here, because it's a little bit unique compared to E and F.
Yeah, do you want me to?
Yeah. Thank you, Chris, you can probably go now.
Thank you.
I've been dismissed.
take care of Chris, you've been dismissed.
So we've had some updates on the Materials Management Planning Committee. We're in Economic Development, who are also here virtually for support if you guys have any questions that I'm not able to answer. But with this being something new, Economic Development's been meeting regularly with Eagle. New information keeps coming out, so it's been kind of a moving target. We learned that the county needs to file a letter of intent before we can actually appoint any members. So we can't do any appointments today until that process is followed. That process has not been opened yet for us to do. But once it has, it'll come before the board to file the notice of intent for us to be the body that does the appointments and oversees. We did submit the application packet to our friends over at the Department of Economic Development. They raised a few concerns with some of the applicants. Everybody was able to select the category that they believed that they qualified for, but reviewing the applications, it looks like some of the members may not qualify for a particular category that they applied for. One of the examples is for SEMCOG. Rachel Barlock currently works for SEMCOG. We believe the intent is that position is supposed to be filled by a SEMCOG employee. There was another applicant, Jordan Tuardi. He currently works for the city of Dearborn, does not work for SEMCOG, but he is a member community of SEMCOG. So we're working with Eagle to try to get some clarification on the parameters of some of these positions. We have a couple other applicants that applied for multiple positions. One of them does a hauling business but does not necessarily generate the waste that his business hauls. So there's some questions around whether he fits the category for generating a managed material. So there's just a few quirks as we've been reviewing the applications that we would like to try to get some clarification from Eagle and then reach out to the candidates to get some additional information to make sure that we have everybody in the appropriate category for you guys to choose from. And that said, we do have 2 positions that we would like to reopen the applications for. One of them, we did not receive any applicants for a waste diversion, reuse, or reduction facility operator. And then for the operator of a business that generates a managed material, there's some questions around that applicant and if he qualifies for that category. So we would like to reopen that category as well. So that's kind of where we're at. We don't need to select any applicants for interviews today until we do the further vetting but we would like you guys to go ahead and reopen those two positions, so that we can solicit, and we'll work on doing a more targeted approach, perhaps reaching out to some businesses directly to try to see about getting applicants to fill those positions.
Questions, comments? Oh, all right. So the one thing we need to do is authorize the reopening of the 2 spots. So Commissioner Nelson makes the motion, Commissioner Liu seconds. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, you have that authorization.
That was quick. This moves and
Nelson,
Nelson?
Yep.
2.
yes. And then the rest of the process, we can defer to, what's the timeline looking like? I guess that's the next question.
We'll probably we can extend those applications probably through the end of the year. Since we've only got one more LAGO meeting, it won't hurt to do the rest of November and probably December to try to really get applicants for those 2 positions. And then we can, after the first of the year, when the calendar is released, we should be able to begin interviews. And depending on how many interviews we do, we might have some time to split that out over multiple meetings. And also just to call your attention to some of these individuals you guys interviewed earlier this year. So as we get to that stage, we may not need to interview for all 11 positions, depending on how like I said, once we do the further vetting, we may narrow down the field for some of the applicants.
Questions, comments, discussion? All right, thank you, Amy, appreciate it. Moving right along then, to public comment number 2. Anyone from the public wishing to address us on any matter at all? Seeing none, anyone have any fun news or stories they'd like to share about their weekend or their election day plans? Going to party, Commissioner Nelson.
I can share. So tomorrow, myself and Cameron McClure, who is part of the Senior Advisory Council, we're gonna be speaking in Lansing at a older adult conference with AAA1B in regards to the development of the blueprint that we created here in Oakland County with the idea of potentially having it be replicated across the state.
Love that.
Nice. Yeah.
Representative,
Congratulations.
where's the conference?
You know, I'm not sure yet. All I know is I'm not looking forward to driving up to Lansing.
I know it well.
The construction and all that bananas, so
You
but
know,
nonetheless, looking forward to it.
59 all across.
Really?
Sure, you can do it that way too, yeah.
Okay, I like
This
that.
far over, yeah,
Okay,
Oh.
yep.
it's
It
good
takes
to know.
It takes about as long as any of the other routes, and it is a lot less of a headache.
I was told to reserve
I
at
did
least
not
2
know
solid
that.
hours to drive.
Oh, no. You can 89, 90 minutes,
Yeah,
right on the head. Yep.
okay, all right, noted. I can't.
Anyone else? It's bad. It's a bad drive.
One of my boys lives in Lansing.
I'm leaving.
With traffic,
Make sure.
I've never made it in 90.
Well,
I'm
also,
always late for dinner.
drive the speed limit, kids. With that, I'm gonna go ahead and adjourn today. It is 10:32. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
I gotta figure